Welcome back to the Remedial Film Class Podcast. I'm not your host, George.
And I'm Travis.
And I'm Dan, allegedly.
Allegedly, reportedly.
Pulling up the rear.
Supposedly.
And George, we just pulled you out of the murky Amity Bay after experiencing a somewhat traumatic summer swim. How you doing, sir?
Traumatized.
Yeah?
As I should be.
As you should be.
Are you ready to go back in the water?
No. I never did like the water anyway.
Oh.
Now I have a great excuse never to go in there.
There
Not a
you
beach person.
Yeah.
But that is some bad hat Harry. I love that line. That is a bad hat Harry.
Travis.
I don't remember what TV show used that, but they used that as their bumper at the end of the show every time. I don't know if it was Cheers or I don't know.
How are you doing tonight, Travis?
I'm doing good.
This is one of your all-time faves. Are you excited?
I don't know. Your tone tells me you didn't like it, so I'm assuming.
My tone?
You just assume I
Huh?
didn't
No, I'm
like
talking
his tone.
Dan's
Okay.
tone.
I liked it. It was fine. I'd never seen it before all the way through, and
Right.
here we are. And I think I sound chipper as hell. I don't know what you're hearing.
It's definitely it's categorized as nostalgia Travis like. I know if I saw it for the first time today, I would be going.
I think you're really putting the
But-
cart before the horse here. We haven't even asked George if he liked it yet.
This is true.
Hey, George, did you like the movie?
I did.
There you go. You want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah. Guys, there's a couple things. Immediately, right in the beginning, I'm thinking, the mayor wants to put people's lives at risk
Mm-hmm.
to keep their economy open.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That would never happen in real life.
Never
never.
going to happen. Never.
Only with dinosaurs, not with sharks or viruses.
No, but that was a really good, really stressful scene. Like the first scene, not the first scene, but the first time you see the beach open when it shouldn't
Mhm.
be.
It's
And-
set up purposely like that.
Yeah, and it's really just like everyone having fun at the beach.
Mhm.
And if you didn't know about what happened last night, it would just be a day at the beach.
Right.
But like all this regular stuff is happening, and it's like stressing you the frig out, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the way it's made. You're in on it, so you know.
Yeah, it's good
But
stuff.
no one else knows. But then Spielberg does a very good job at building that tension. That even Brody knows that what's happening or could happen, he's not at fault for. He knows it's the mayor's fault.
Well, he kind of is.
Well, he's the one who told him to close everything, and then they collaborated and said, "Nah, it could have been a
So,
propeller. It could have been
yeah,
something else." So
that-
they manipulated him,
That scene,
and he was new. You got to remember that he was new to the town. He was a kind of a yes man.
okay, that scene, that you're talking about on the with the car on the
When they're on the ferry.
car boat
On
or
the
whatever.
ferry, yeah.
Is that a ferry? I thought a
Yeah,
ferry
it's a
was bigger
ferry.
than that. But anyway, he folded really quick.
Yeah, he folded.
Like he was just he just looked at the medical
But
examiner
if you're
and was
new
like,
on the job,
"Are you gonna back this?" And he was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Okay."
yeah. If you're new on the
Like-
job and you don't really know where you stand, where your place is, that's why I like later on when he says, "I'm the fucking chief. We're gonna go cut that shark
Yeah, I
open."
can do what I want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's when he became Brody, and he
Yeah.
basically said he kind of separated himself from the economy people,
Yes.
which I like. To me, I mean, I know Dan's issues with this movie are the shark and the this and that.
Who cares about that?
Right.
Let's talk about me.
For me, this movie, I love this movie for the acting, for the suspense, for
Sure.
the script, for the story. Yes, there are problems with it, but not anything to do with those
No one has
things.
brought up any problems yet.
Right. I'm just saying, for me, like I said, nostalgia. Travis loves this movie.
Were
But I
you
could see-
disappointed in it when you watched it yesterday?
No, I watched it with the whole family, and the jumps happened when they were supposed to happen, and my wife flipped out a few times, and she's seen it, so it was perfect for me. I didn't have
Okay.
any problems with it, other than trying not to watch it through your eyes.
Well,
And I'm like, he's gonna have a problem with that. He's gonna like that. He's not gonna like that. And then I was worried about Dan because I knew he hadn't seen it before. I know he knows the story. I know he knows the images and the iconic one-liners and this and that. But
right.
to actually sit and watch it from beginning to end changes how you're going to watch it. I
Hi,
feel.
this is Dan, and production. Like, we haven't even finished wrapping yet. And this movie was fine. I don't know why Travis thinks I'm going to hate it. The acting was cool. The development was great. The robot shark looked freaking awesome for 1974 whenever they made this movie.
Yes, it did.
It was awesome. They did a good job of not showing me the shark enough that I could start picking it apart. And when it did attack, it was so brutal that I couldn't help thinking, like, if I was an audience member in the 70s, I would never want to swim in the ocean because the brutality of the attacks juxtaposed to the rest of the movie is off the scale. Like, it's fantastic.
That poor Kittner boy.
Holy mackerel.
Like, that shark was rolling over and
No,
it's bad.
This movie was fine. Like, I should have watched it years ago. I don't know what was wrong with me. Guys, if you haven't seen this movie, go check it out.
So that was another thing that I was going to say.
Okay.
Which was that I thought I was going to see like a robot shark the whole time. I didn't. And that was a good thing.
Yeah, they took basically the formula that Alien used later, where it's like, let's show them just enough. Show them little snippets, little this and that. And it, to me, it builds, this is a clinic on suspense. Like, and then you finally get to the end and the payoff is good. You know, Quint is the best character in the movie. And to see the end and how that goes, like, it's so satisfying that everybody kind of has an arc and a climax and a justification and then an end.
I know I had a climax.
Yeah,
I was thinking of Psycho.
Mm.
I was thinking the sound of the knife is worse than, what they could ever show you.
Right.
And so there was lots of stuff like that. I mean, yeah, like you see a lot of the times you see like the carnage afterwards. You don't actually see the attack, but you see like that float, like the float that the little boy was on.
It's almost like symbolism. Like they're
it's
just
like,
showing you.
It's just like
like Dan said, the brutality
what
of
that must have looked like, or what that must have been. The autopsy scene when the
didn't even show the body.
No,
Didn't
just
have to.
his reaction and the way he was explaining it as he was like, kind of recording it and everything.
I love Dreyfuss in this movie.
Oh, Dreyfuss is
It's
an MVP. My gosh.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was saying to Jen, I'm like, watch, like when he was taking the stuff out of the shark's
again.
Oh man.
All you hear, you hear things.
Yeah.
You hear him like you hear like metal against rubber kind of sound, which is he's
but him
going
gasping,
through the skin.
like he was so good at playing that smelled so bad.
Yeah.
It was almost like Silence of the Lambs where they were doing the autopsy scene as well. But when he's given in the first autopsy, when he's given the play-by-play, what he's doing, what he's finding, like he's not phoning it in. He's doing some really good stuff in that scene. I think they all are. I didn't see one weak link. Even the mayor, although he was a little over dramatic and a little more caricaturish, he still landed well.
He was okay. The grieving mother, although she was only in here for like 15 seconds to tell, the police chief that it was all his fault. That performance was lacking, but she's a minor,
right,
in and out character. I mean, it's whatever. But yeah, all the rest of the acting was fantastic.
Yeah, she got her point across.
Sure.
Like more of her acting came from the scene where she couldn't find her son. Like I guess she kind of blew it all there.
Yeah.
And then later on, I'm thinking it might be directing, where the director's like, you just came from a funeral, from your son. I think she played it a little too melodramatic with anger. Like it was kind of hard to figure out which emotion she was giving, so it probably might have affected her performance.
I don't know.
That autopsy scene where I guess it's like the shark autopsy when he's pulling the stuff out and like retching.
Sharktopsy.
Have you guys ever watched any of those YouTube videos where people open up cans of surströmming, I don't know if that's how you say it, the Swedish canned fish, that like there is a dish that you can make with this stuff, but if you're a dumb American and you want to make a gross video on YouTube, all you have to do is open the can and immediately everyone in the room starts retching because it smells so bad.
Was it like chum?
It's just like it's so gross. It's fish bits. It's like it's halves of fish in some kind of sauce in a can. But
it's like Swedish spam.
Yeah, but it's like instant dry heaves, and so it makes for good YouTube content. But it reminded me a lot of that shark autopsy. But Dreyfuss so good, Brody so good. Oh, Quint so good. Like the top three. I got to tell you, this Spielberg guy might be going places. Seems like a pretty good director.
Yeah.
It's a good movie when it's a movie about a killer shark and the best scene is 3 guys at a table talking.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. And just
Like
the
that-
well-placed, the slapping the table and the shark hitting the boat and like the way that it just overlaps long enough that they don't notice it at first, but you know it and the dramatic irony spikes. Yeah, real good.
Mm-hmm. And they're comparing scars.
Yeah, that was
Comparing
pretty
scars. the bomb monologue.
What the Indianapolis, the SS,
Yeah.
the sinking of the boat.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah. After they delivered the bomb,
Classic.
and they were that whole monologue was like just wow.
That's the one that everybody, other than you're going to need a bigger boat.
Yeah.
The line where he's like, it's like a doll's eyes, like people say it all the time.
Yeah.
And they roll back. What does he say? Like if 1,800 men went into the water and only 300 came out.
I don't know. Something
So it's like
that.
Titanic.
Yeah.
But they were being picked off one by one, which is worse. Ugh.
Way worse.
And the ending, Jen goes, "Well, I guess he's not going to get his $10,000." I'm like,
God.
wait, what?
Dan, did you adjust that for inflation?
I didn't know. No, but I imagine
we-
from 71 to, because what was the last comparison we did? It was,
I don't remember.
I don't remember. But you're talking about easily, $50,000.
I think it was
I was gonna
Psycho. Psycho, when you calculated how much money she stole. That might have been the last time we did that. Or Jurassic Park when we talked about the Westworld
Oh,
budget.
that's right. The budget comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I
hold
do have
on.
a question.
What year was this? 1975.
75,
$10,000. $50,000. Wow, 49,233. Look at me guessing with no.
Look at you.
Yeah,
Wow, you're getting good at this.
I know. Look at me. Got a whole second career coming, guessing numbers that could easily be figured out on a calculator.
Definitely. I did have a question that maybe you guys could answer.
Shoot.
More eyes on the story. The scene where the 2 fishermen throw the meat with the hook in the water from the dock.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The shark pulls that,
Mm-hmm.
which yanks the dock.
Mm-hmm.
Then it comes back around.
Mm-hmm.
But once the fisherman gets out of the water, the dock continues to float towards the shore. No shark.
Mm-hmm.
Tides.
I thought to myself, which makes it even scarier, that shark never bit into that meat. That shark pulled that chain to knock the dock down. He was never hooked, which makes it more malicious.
maybe
Like more calculating.
Or maybe he
I was-
just broke the chain because they didn't
Mm.
realize it was a 25-foot shark.
Yeah, but I mean, there's, well, possibly.
I don't know.
I don't know. To me, it just made it more
I don't
scary that he purposely pulled that dock to pull those guys in the water.
know. Nah, I don't think so.
No?
No.
We need to get Steven Spielberg on the line.
I think he was hooked. I think he was hooked to a point.
Because that wasn't a fish hook. That was a meat hook. That was like, there's no getting that out without killing the shark.
Well, I don't know about
Yeah,
that.
it's a big shark.
Yeah, he could have just swallowed that and been fine.
I mean, he couldn't even get that air tank out of his mouth.
Well, he was
So-
trying to eat it. No, the way I interpreted it was, the shark took the line, broke the dock, and obviously it was tied around or just around the post
Mm-hmm.
of the dock, and then when the dock gives way, the chain just goes right
Lets
off
go.
the top of the post because there's nothing holding it from the top, right? So I figured the chain was gone and the dock was just floating back.
It was coming with force.
Well, it looked like it was
at some point.
but like maybe if you think that it's coming this way and you're like in the moment, is that being pulled by a huge shark? I don't know, or is it just floating towards me? I don't know. It's kind of fast, like the adrenaline makes it seem like it's something it's not. That's the way I interpreted
Right.
it. It was just the duck was floating back in because tide.
Gotcha.
And the shark was long gone. That's how I interpreted it. But Mrs. What's-Her-Face is definitely the shark's mom.
Mrs. Lippman?
Yeah, Mrs. Lippman is definitely the shark's mom.
I don't know. We'll see what Dan in Post says.
For sure. The signs are everywhere.
I'm going to have to listen to the commentary track and see if they talk about that. Because it just made it more interesting to me. It doesn't change anything. It just makes it more calculating and malicious. Just like when it faked them all out and went into the bay. When they were all watching the ocean.
And I'm thinking, that's a pond, right?
Well,
obviously
they
call it the pond, but it's the bay, right?
Yeah.
But it looked like it would be too shallow in some of the shots. And I was like, that's why he's sending them over there, because it's like, maybe 3 foot deep or something.
Well, they purposely say at one point, I think Brody says it, that to what's Dreyfuss's character? Can't remember his name. But Hooper, that's right. Hooper. Yeah, right. So they have that conversation about how deep the water a great white will come into, and he did say, like, knee deep, thigh deep, 3 feet.
Yeah, 3 feet, 10 feet from the shore.
But they weren't talking about the 25-foot shark.
Right.
They were talking about a regular, 15, 20. Yeah, that's not really even regular, but this one was 25.
I don't know. I'm not a sharkologist.
Yeah.
You know what else I thought? Like, final thoughts on this movie? This is...
Are we already into the final thought?
This is Moby Dick, but better.
Oh, yeah.
Moby Dick, but better.
Yeah, because Brody and Quint both face their fears. Hooper, too. I guess they all do.
Yeah.
I just love that beginning. And it's funny, we kind of watched, did you ever see Ace Ventura?
I've seen parts of it.
There's a scene where he gets in a shark attack. Yeah.
Where he what?
He's involved in a shark attack, and he does that in the pool. He's pulled in like 9 directions, and he's like going, yeah. And then he just goes underwater, and he comes back up. And I said that my kids saw that part, and I was like, I said, now you know where that came from,
right?
Because they watched it last night, and then they're starting to make connections like we do,
right?
I can't remember. We were watching something on Disney, and they did the mirror gag from Shaun of the Dead and American Werewolf, where the guy's looking in the mirror and then he closes the mirror and somebody's standing there.
Oh, yeah.
And they did that on a show, and Gabe was like, oh.
Oh,
so
yeah.
he knew where it was from.
I
was like, oh, yeah, you're going to start seeing all that stuff.
Yay. I'm proud of him for making it through this movie, because there are parts that are pretty intense.
Oh, God, yeah. I was shocked he made it through. I think it was all of a sudden. It wasn't like something he could prepare himself for. It was just like it happened and then it was done.
Yeah, you can't like mentally like get in your own head about it too much, because by the time you do, it's over.
And Spielberg does such a good job at teasing, and then smacking you in the face. Like you get the dog chasing the stick, and then there's no dog. And the guy's like yelling the dog's name, but you never see the dog go under.
Nope.
And then teasing this and that, and then all of a sudden you see the Kittner boy being, barrel attacked with like sprouting water and blood everywhere. And it's like, oh my God.
I was hoping it was going to be the fat lady. But
I think my kids were thinking that too, because as soon as they saw her, they were like, oh God. I think that was purposely done too.
Do you think it's interesting that 2 weeks removed from Poltergeist, we're back to Spielberg and Hooper again? I think that's weird.
What, you mean like Tobe Hooper?
No, the character Hooper in this movie. That's weird.
Just
like, that's a weird
Hoopers.
Specific name.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have anything to do with Tobe Hooper. It's just weird. It's just a weird thing.
Yeah, that is a weird coincidence.
Spielberg has a lot of growth between 75 and 82 with Poltergeist.
Yeah, there's a lot. You can even see in 5-6 years the difference in his ability to tell a story.
Interesting. This week, I got the opportunity to see a movie by Tobe Hooper called Eaten Alive, which he did after Chainsaw, but before he did Poltergeist. And let me tell you, it was eye-opening, guys. Turns out, stick with me here, Tobe Hooper did not direct Poltergeist.
Wait,
that's what I've learned from watching other movies of his. Is that
it's just not possible.
It's just not the same guy. It's just
Okay.
Right.
it's just Spielberg. Like, I don't know why and how, and I don't know the contract situation that prevented him from having his name on both. But geez Louise, guys.
A bait and switch.
Oh, man.
Shenanigans. Hollywood
Or
shenanigans.
A very good way to warn your audience subtly that this movie that you're about to see is very scary. And then when parents get mad, you can be like, what? Texas Chainsaw Guy did it. Why didn't you do your research, parents? And then it's their fault they took their kids to a scary movie.
Well, Jaws guy made E.T., so.
Well, that's true. Yeah. Jaws reminds me a lot of Friday 1 and 2 with the, like, don't show the scary killer guy, you know?
Yeah.
But then Friday 3 screws it up.
Well, so does Jaws 3.
Ugh.
Remember when we were talking about bad 3D movies?
I don't plan on exploring the sequels. Yeah, the sequel, I don't need sequels to this movie. This is a one and done for me.
No. This should have been one and done, yeah. I do enjoy the Brody character. So Jaws 2, I don't mind it so much because the characters are so good and you get kind of fulfillment in that. But it's not necessary to tell another shark story.
No, this is a once in a lifetime.
Is Dreyfuss back?
I don't remember if Dreyfuss... he might make an appearance, but I don't know if he's in the whole thing.
My opinion is if you could do a Dreyfuss and Brody movie, and it can even involve, like, you know, a conspiracy and all these things that are happening in Jaws, and just give me something different than a 26-foot shark, you know?
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. There's places to go with these characters, but man, conveniently that guy finds another huge shark. No thanks.
I don't know. It might be the same one.
They blew that whole
The
head
same
off
one?
that shark.
It's burned in the second one.
Oh, jeez.
Oh
Louise.
It's been a
God.
long time since I've seen it. I don't know. Maybe it was like a
No, please no.
scarred shark from some other time, but it's definitely got burns on it. So they pulled. Yeah, they did that. They did a thing.
It turns out it's the shark's child who saw the first shark exploded, has come back for revenge with its
Killer
sack on its
mommy.
head. Ugh.
Yeah, yeah. Now I would have even liked like just a courtroom drama where Brody, like all the characters are on trial and they're going back and forth, and like you don't even need a shark with those guys.
For what? Hunting without a license? What?
No, for maybe liability for the Kittner kid and something else.
Yeah, you open the beach
Okay.
and you
Like-
knew there's a shark, and
Yeah,
we've got
there was a
Hooper
shark.
here who's going to testify against the mayor. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I would watch that. And then you could probably trickle in maybe another couple attacks that aren't a great white or something, just to kind of keep the theme.
Well,
But
guys,
the characters are solid.
not that we're smarter than the people that made Jaws 2, but in the book, the Jaws is based on, I was reading on the Wikipedia today because I was interested. There's this whole subplot where Hooper's banging Brody's wife.
Really?
So imagine
no.
a Jaws 2, Hooper is banging Brody's wife and testifying against the mayor, and Brody has to decide, does he pick the side of right, but then the
Wow.
side who's banging his wife, or does he pick the side of wrong and try to protect his job? Guys, that's a
Ooh.
real movie.
That is a real movie.
I kind of want to see that
Huh.
movie. Copyright Remedial Film Class Podcast.
Can we put a
Mail it to yourself.
mechanical shark in there somewhere?
I'm sure
Can we have flashbacks, dream sequences?
Here you go. I got it. You do that storyline. The mayor has found a millionaire to fund a shark-themed amusement park in Amity. And
Okay.
the park has animatronic sharks,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
During the summer, the animatronic sharks start attacking people.
Oh my God.
And the paying customers expected it because they knew that the animatronic sharks were part of the show. Just saying. You got Westworld, Jurassic Park, and Jaws all in one movie. And Indecent Proposal.
I like it.
I kind of don't hate it. I'm sure that all this is better than Jaws 2, so I'm not even going to watch that movie.
It's definitely better than Jaws 3. But yeah, it's better than Jaws 2.
What about Cruel Jaws? Did you know that you guys know I love my Italian genre movies? Did you know
Yeah.
there was a shark like group of movies like the Giallo and like the westerns? They did a whole bunch of shark movies.
Really? Like Sharknado, but 40 years ago?
Like Jaws, but like way worse. And like they'd borrow
Wow.
footage from other movies. One of them actually stole footage from one of the Jaws movies, like
Really?
shamelessly, without paying for it, and then just like mixed in shark footage with new terrible actors. Yeah, they're horrible. Skip them. I do not recommend them.
Was that a case of where like the Italians stole from the Americans?
Yeah, sounds like
Like
it.
the
Well, that's
Italian.
what usually happens. It just so happens that the Giallo led to the slasher, but the Giallo was just ripping off Hitchcock. So
Oh yeah, word. Yeah.
it was doing
Now-
a lot more than just ripping off Hitchcock. I don't want to get slapped by the Giallo crowd, but you guys know what I mean.
I know it's
Yeah.
never been done, but would they do a zombie fighting a shark?
I think that's too unreasonable. They'd never have a zombie fight a shark.
Yeah, I don't think that's possible.
I gotta say, having not seen this movie, but having seen Zombie like 50 times, the way that the iconography of Jaws is just like borrowed directly for that scene in Zombie is amazing. Like all the boat stuff is straight out the same shots. So that's cool. Although I'll say the zombie underwater stuff was way scarier than any of the like these, I don't know, seeing it on your screen, tension building scary. I felt like Zombie was scarier than anything in Jaws because there's never a moment when you're under the water and the shark is coming slowly and you can see it and it's building the fear. It's always the jump out because they can't do it with the robot shark.
Right.
Just a different way to do it.
Well, they do get you on the chum scene when he does the "you're gonna need a bigger boat."
Oh yeah.
Like that's a jumper. Then you're
Yeah.
expecting it. After that happens, you're expecting it to happen at least 3 or 4 more times.
Well, I like jump scares, and Zombie doesn't really have as many effective jump scares. They're more like Shudder scares, right?
Cringy.
It's just like,
Yeah.
oh, that happened. Oh, that happened. But Jaws doesn't have that moment where like the shark swims by your swimmer and like nothing is happening yet except for anticipation, right? Because when the two are in the water together, it's already bashed in his cage and all these things.
Right.
Just different flavors
Well, they do
of
some of
scary.
that towards the beginning, like I guess after the second attack, when it goes into the bay and Brody's son is swimming and he goes into shock. They do that, but they're not showing the shark then.
Right.
It's just all camera POV.
Yeah, it just passes.
There's room in the world for both of those movies. Honestly, Zombie 2 is a better Jaws 2 than either of the Jaws sequels. So I say this without seeing them, but I'm pretty clear.
What's funny is Spielberg actually had the same problem with Jurassic Park that he had with the shark. Because, well, they did a lot of practical effects in Jurassic Park. So they would kind of mix in CGI with the animatronic stuff. And there were the scenes with the T-Rex that were happening in the rain. And the thing would actually start to shudder from the water hitting it. And it would just start shaking, and they would have to go towel it down, blow dry it, get it so it wouldn't shake during the scene. So they were having the same problems, but they just wound up, they had CGI then, so they could just remedy whatever was not working. They would just do it with the computer.
That T-Rex was a real Barbra Streisand.
Yeah. Needed a bowl full of green M&Ms. Such a diva.
We need the T-Rex. She won't come out of her trailer.
Well, I'm glad you like it.
I'm glad too.
Yeah, and it's one of those movies where you can watch it over and over and over again, and it doesn't get old.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've seen it probably 50 times. And just watching it, especially if you watch it with new people, then you're experiencing it through them, so then it kind of makes it more enjoyable.
Now, we haven't talked about the music very much. I gotta say, it doesn't do as much riffing on the two notes that I was hoping it would. It's a lot more complex, and it moves around a lot more than I remembered from my impression. So I was pleased.
Yeah, there's a lot. Actually, it's kind of sprawling. Some of the orchestration of it is very...
it's epic.
Yeah, it's kind of epic. When you would expect just those little, keys, but then it kind of goes John L. Williams on you, and it's almost like Flight of the Aviator kind of.
And I don't think I can just sing the name of the movie to the song on this one. So good job, John Williams. This is before Star Wars, right? So he hasn't figured that trick out yet.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, the title of this movie is one syllable.
Yeah.
So you
Jaws.
could pretty much
Jaws.
sing Jaws to any melody.
Yeah. Maybe. Hey, it's Dan in post. I think Travis is right. I think it's Jaws. Jaws. Anyway, back to the show.
Definitely.
I'm going to send you a link real quick, guys.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Here we
Is this
go.
a Shark Giallo. It's a Shark Giallo.
Yeah, I kept waiting.
It's Shark Giallo.
I honestly, guys, I honestly kept waiting for the moment where
Is he wearing a sack on his head?
you'd hear a knock at a door and they'd open it and be a shark in a trench coat. I was like, oh, come on, give me a shark in a trench coat.
Land shark.
Yeah, I had to wait for SNL for that gig. Come on.
Yeah, they did that. Land shark.
So I sent you guys a clip from Light the Fuse. Sartana is coming. Now, Sartana is or Sartana. I don't speak Italian.
Sartana.
Sartana is, sure, we'll go with that. James Bond in the Wild West. Instead of a PPK, he uses some weird-looking 4-shot Derringer, but he's suave and he gets the ladies. And anyway, they made like 5 of them over the course of like 2 years in the 70s, and they sold pretty good. But just check out this clip from Light the Fuse. Sartana is coming.
Where's the sheriff? At the Apache Grotto.
Do you hear anything familiar, boys?
Mm-hmm.
I do, yeah.
Little Jaws theme. Isn't that cool?
Yep.
That's from 1970. Bruno Nicolai did the score for that. And yeah, it's got a cool little fuzz guitar, and then
It's just not graceful, but it's not graceful like because he uses a full orchestra.
But
that sounds gritty as hell.
Oh, it's a gritty movie.
That's a
good
horror icon kind of music.
I like the creepy high pitched squeaky stuff too. I mean, it's a cool score. It's a good movie. Well, okay, it's a movie that I like. I don't know. Nieves Navarro, a lady from a lot of the Giallos I like. She is in that as well. So it's a lot of people you know if you watch a lot of Jolly, but at the same time, it's got the Jaws theme 5 years before Jaws, so that's fun.
Yeah, it does.
You should probably interview John L. Williams and tell him that his music came from a Western.
When did you first see Bruno Nicolai movies? Was it in film school?
Was it in film school?
Oh, it was. Oh, you didn't ever. Okay. Okay.
Oh, my God.
It's good to have fun on this show, boys.
Yes.
I found that a few months ago, and I was like, oh, damn. I know when we're doing Jaws, I got to send this clip to Travis.
Yeah, it's funny.
Dun-dun.
Yeah, but I mean, I probably would not have. I mean, the tempo and the what would be the word for the?
Well, the arrangement is completely different. The tempo is different in that it's like Jaws and then a break. Jaws.
Well, the
and
Jaws,
then a break.
yeah, the Jaws tempo isn't consistent either.
Right.
It's obviously it speeds up as the shark gets closer. That's tempo.
But I wouldn't have put the two together because of the grit in that song. I wouldn't have connected it.
Well, there's I hear that kind of stuff all the time. I'm like, oh, this 2 notes or this 3-note line is the same in this song as it is in that song, but there's only so many notes,
right?
And so many combinations. But in this one, actually, I kind of maybe I like that better. Well, I don't want to say I like it better because they're 2 different movies. I think the Jaws sticking on the da 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 da, it works for this movie.
And it changes tempo and it builds. to
Right,
something,
exactly.
Right.
It totally works. This, what you just showed us, Dan, was like it had those two notes together as I don't want to say like a turnaround, because it's not really a turnaround, but it was a little something, and then da da was like
Mhm.
the theme.
Well, and what's funny is it's got that same half-step interval thing that, the Metallica that sounds like Friday the 13th, all of them rely on that half-step kind of chromatic scale. It sounds menacing to go from one note to the next note up real quick. But the
Yeah.
way
Mhm.
it's arranged with like, the low part and then like the squeaky high part, it kind of reminds me of what Korn was doing in the early 90s, where they
Yes.
didn't have a rhythm and a lead player. They had like a bass guitar, like a lower range but not a bass 7-string guitar, and then like a
Right.
treble guitar.
Yeah.
Like it's the same
Yes.
it's same kind of thing, only like less
Yes.
shitty and not on meth.
Yes.
Allegedly.
Since you like doing that, I like doing that with Carpenter movies because he has such a style, and every song in every movie sounds like something from another movie he did. Like when you see Christine, you can hear Halloween in Christine, but he just kind of changes. Obviously, he changes the arrangement, but it's the same instruments, it's the same mentality, the synth, everything he
Yeah.
does, but it's different but the same. And I feel the same way whenever Dan shows me something like that. It's like they're either completely stealing it or it's so common that other people can use it and not even realize they're taking it.
Mm-hmm.
You want to give them the benefit of the doubt, but then they obviously were inspired by and or completely influenced by.
Yeah.
There's not many coincidences, especially when they're so close in time frame. Now, if it happened the same year,
Ooh, but that's always fun. So there's we can't talk about it yet. But at some point when we do a future episode, we can talk about the movie that came out the same year as the movie we're talking about and has the same character name and setting for the bad guy.
Mm.
But like,
Oh my goodness.
it's almost impossible that they could have known
right?
about the other one, except that like it's so specific, right? It's almost like down to like, it breaks every rule of the, there's no such thing as coincidence, right?
Right.
Except
it's the same actor.
I cannot think of a way that this would happen unless somebody literally had each other's notes at the time. But it's like in the genre that we're going to be talking about, it's like, I don't think that's just wait, guys.
Well,
little anticipation for later.
when you look at movies like American Werewolf in London was being filmed pretty much the same time that The Howling was being filmed, and Rick Baker was supposed to do one of them and didn't, and so then they got somebody who used to work for Rick Baker, and then he kind of was involved in it. So a lot of the things being done in The Howling, the transformations and everything is kind of the same as the transformations in Werewolf. So it almost looks like they're stealing from each other, but they're both kind of using the same ideas because it's so cutting edge. Like it's interesting to see that because
Didn't those two movies turn out like completely different though?
they're two completely different movies.
Yeah.
But the effects
There's a lot of
are
similarities.
very similar.
Yeah.
The werewolves are totally different, but the effects are very similar.
Is there a name for that thing in Hollywood where you get like a Howling and an American Werewolf in the same year, where they're like competing, kind of racing to get the idea out the door, kind of a Deep Impact Armageddon kind of thing?
Impact. I was just gonna say Deep Impact.
Well, and what was the Prestige and the Illusionist came out like almost simultaneously. Prestige is my jam. We'll watch that someday. But like, what is that called? What do you call that when it's like market saturation by
I don't
design?
know. It happens a lot though.
It's fun, but that's different than what we were talking about before. But it is also an interesting thing because
Mm-hmm.
The Howling is really
I think
cool.
Volcano came out the same time as Dante's Peak.
Oh yeah,
Like they do that a lot.
That's
it's just a matter
weird.
of what cast do you have, what's your story. Are you going to do an epic Armageddon story, or are you telling the story of this family in the same situation? So and that's what makes them different. Like Dante's Peak is more about the seismologist and her family trying to get out before the place blows, and what's the other one I said? Volcano is more just like an epic disaster film where who cares who's in this movie? We're just going to blow shit up.
Was that a Roland Emmerich? Because that sounds like a Roland.
No,
Emmerich.
I think it was before him. He didn't kind of. I think Independence Day was like, or Stargate was the first movie that he kind of brought, and then Independence Day.
Have we lost
But,
George?
Yeah, I think.
I feel like we've lost George.
No.
I'm just listening.
Mick
I'm absorbing.
Jackson. Who is Mick Jackson? The Bodyguard. If you had told me that the guy that did The Bodyguard did Volcano, I wouldn't have believed you. That's funny.
Wow, those are two completely opposite movies.
I mean, they both.
That's like directing Texas Chainsaw and then directing Jaws.
I don't know. They're both trying to control a hot mess.
It's true.
You're weird.
I used to harass my child because my oldest would refuse to go to bed. And so I'd pick him up, kind of like a Cain and Abel kind of thing, carrying him like that. And if he got too whiny, I'd start shrieking out, "I will always love you." And I'd say, "I'm going to bodyguard you, man. If you don't go to bed, you're getting bodyguarded." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And I'd start singing it, and then he'd be mad.
How off key?
Oh, it's well out of my register, man.
Okay.
It was just, I was shooting skeet. It was just up in the air. Who knows? But it was fun and it was effective after a couple of those.
You're not an operatic tenor? You're not. You can't harmonize with the great Whitney Houston?
I don't know, man. Getting older over the past, I'll say over the past 10 years, I've probably, my singing voice has dropped a full step. Like I can hit a full step lower than I used to, but also I can't hit the high notes anymore. So
You gotta squeeze them.
squeeze something. Yikes.
Did you ever do the Universal ride for Jaws? You never have been down there.
I've never been down there.
I've never been to Florida.
It's a shame they've removed it, but it was there for 30 years. They took it out, but it was so good. It was this movie in an 8-minute ride.
Yeah,
it was really well done. And then every person that drove your boat, because it was a river ride, and you had a guide who would take you down through Amity, and every employee who drove the boat, they really weren't driving it, but they all had their lines they had to say, their reactions, what they were reacting to, all that stuff. So they all had the same script.
Mm-hmm.
But you could spend a good day continuously doing that ride and getting a different ride every time, because the person who was your boat captain
Right.
was either Nicolas Cage, like just playing it to the people in the back of the room, or like somebody who was like really mousy. Like to me, it was a different experience. But it's a shame you can't experience that ride anymore, because it's right down to the animatronic sharks. There's like 3 of them in the ride.
Yeah.
And they come out at different points. You can watch it on YouTube. You can go watch the Universal Jaws ride.
Maybe I will.
But the guides are funny. It was something when I was younger, I was like, oh man, I would love to do that job. That would be fun to just do this all day. This 8-minute ride for 20 times. I probably would lose interest, but the first week would be fun. Doing my character study.
You would have to start doing your own different characters.
You could tell the guys that were community theater actors that were using their character study and this and that. What was I doing 5 minutes before I got on this boat? Kind of mentality.
Right.
And then the people that were just phoning it in, they were boring. But the guys that were like Nicolas Cage every time, just knowing it's different people every time, it kind of gives you that extra push.
No, what I was saying, what you would do is you would try to play that character like 20 different times a day. Like
Absolutely.
20 different
ways,
characters.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that would be exhausting.
Doc Brown drives the boat.
It's a shark party. Oh my God.
Yeah, what size is that shark?
Hands and feet in the boat. I'm your guy, James Gum. Yeah, it would be pretty fun.
Shark's got to be at least a 14.
You're gonna enjoy this ride. It's gonna be awesome.
The shark's gonna be huge.
Shark's gonna be huge.
Make sure you get your face closer to the windows. Closer, please.
Closer.
Don't worry, we've got a big, beautiful boat. It's got a big, beautiful door.
We don't have a chopper. I would do it as Homer Simpson. Oh, that would be hilarious. Oh man,
That's the YouTube content we need, man. Go over,
I
find
think you
yourself
missed your calling.
a YouTube video of the ride, and then do new
And just put in different
voiceovers.
voices.
Yeah. Commit to an entire video of each one, though. You got to do the whole ride as each
Yes.
person.
Oh, that would be tough.
You've got an abundance of free time. Check that out. Do it.
Yeah, I have all that free time.
No. Everybody get your hands and feet in the boat.
I told you not to do. Oh, it would be funny. Oh, yeah, I might have to do that. I'll look into it.
There you go.
Right before I remake Clerks.
We gotta do Clerks before Clerks 3 comes out and steals our thunder. And it gets sold as an NFT, and I still don't know how that works.
We were just talking about that this week.
Yeah, NFTs.
The NFTs.
I
Isn't that like natural family planning?
don't know.
I feel like NFTs are going to be like Pogs.
Yeah. $10,000 Pogs. Yeah.
Check out this Matisse I bought for, Ugh.
Or like Pokemon cards. Like
Yeah.
at some point, like the Charizard
coming
was
back,
like
though.
$1,000, and now it's just like, oh, nobody cares about that anymore.
Yeah, you can get that in
I
a
need a
cereal
Charizard.
box now. So
I got Garbage Pail Kids now. I need a Charizard. Magic the Gathering.
George,
Ugh.
did we scare you with a shark?
No, not at all.
Yeah, it didn't scare me either. It was pretty cool. I can imagine it would be scary to like kids, but
You can tell why an entire generation was afraid to go in the water for a while. Because
Yeah.
A, it's based on a true story. B, Quint's story scares the shit out of you when he talks about how they just swim around and just pick you off one at a time. Because they're natural creatures,
Yeah.
and they could... Technically, this could happen. Maybe not a man-eater, but you don't know when you're in the water if something's
Well,
swimming by. And
in order to make this movie more stressful, there's a lot of misinformation.
yes.
Like things, I know how rare
Mhm.
shark attacks are. And like, the consensus is generally that like when a shark attacks, it's because it thinks you're a seal.
Right.
And as soon as it realizes you're not, it's like, oh,
They put you back.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when people say, well, pit bulls are this, but the nastiest dog there is a Yorkie. And I'm like, yeah, but when a Yorkie bites you, he doesn't.
yeah,
Right.
you're
maul you.
you're gonna survive.
Yeah.
But like they had to make, they had to use that, a couple of things that just weren't true to make you. Or maybe we didn't know those things weren't true back then in 70 something. I don't know.
It all depends on how you want to look at it. Like, I believe it's so rare. Like, I even told the kids because I was afraid they were going to say they never wanted to go in the ocean again. So the first thing I told them was, first of all, more people die per year from cow attacks than ever a shark.
That's
attack.
true.
And B, I explained. They're
I'm
like,
just
why
kidding.
do-
I don't know if that's true.
No, it is true.
Okay.
I think it's like 8 cows kill, someone
People,
every year.
what do they
Yeah.
sit on them or kick them?
Trample them or whatever.
I mean, if we
Okay.
count heart disease,
Well, yeah. That,
Oh,
I mean,
God.
geez.
that's totally different. But yeah, they are pretty much killing people like crazy with their meat
Compared to sharks.
compared to sharks.
Yeah.
And I told them about the raft and how usually you get attacked because you look like food floating on the surface. So yeah, that's
Surfers get attacked a
that's
lot.
the
'cause they're
information
shaped like
people need to
seals.
hear.
Yes.
But there are cases where an attack does happen, whether it's a man-eater or not. That's probably more in like Australia or whatever. But yeah, it's usually just surfers on their board and whatever, and they're tasting you. But their tasting is a little different than what ours is.
Yeah, and they, once they realize that you're, what's that canned fish shit?
Oh, the Sturman. I don't speak.
Yeah,
Swedish.
once they realize that you're swimming in a fish,
Right.
then they're like, oh,
Sir
that
Strumming.
smells bad.
Unfortunately, the
Strumming.
damage is done by then.
Yeah, a bit. I don't know. Like,
there's a
I'm not
movie-
minimizing anyone who's listening to the podcast that's been bitten by a shark.
Hmm.
I apologize for what I'm about to say. Generally, they just bite you once, and
Yeah.
it's like done.
But when it's a 25-footer,
Yeah, but
That
like
bite
you
once.
you can survive it usually.
Right.
Right. Like,
yeah, I mean,
generally.
there's that girl that lost her arm. I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
But it's nothing to be completely scared of. There was a movie that came out in the 90s called Ghost in the Darkness, and it was about 2 lions in Africa that in the 40s, I think, that completely became man-eaters and were just like picking villagers off like every day. They were just
Yes.
It's a true story. You're watching it and you're going, this would never happen in real life. I see lions all the time at the zoo. They're not going to do this to me. But then when you say to them, this is based on a true story and this did happen in this village, the body count's high on it, but it doesn't mean it's going to happen all the time. It's just something that happened. These 2 lions, they basically, got rid of them eventually. But they did. They had a pretty good high body count. So you don't know if that's ever happened in the shark world, but it's the numbers are so low that, yeah, it's inflated because of the movie, kind of makes people think it happens a lot, which it doesn't. But there is the original book is based on a true story of this happening. So it's like, fiction is, truth is stranger than fiction sometimes, but it's obviously embellished.
I really want to make
it-
Jaws 2 now.
Well, Dreyfus is still alive.
Let's do it.
Brody's not.
Write it.
Shaw's not.
Write it
Well,
up.
he's not alive anyway, but
His spirit could
they
come
should make a
back.
movie with Dreyfus. Maybe his he's now a psychiatrist dealing with people's, he's dealing with what he experienced. I just love his character.
Does he have like a shark bite support group,
I don't know.
like AA?
Maybe he's working with PTSD patients.
Shark Bites Anonymous.
Not just shark bites, maybe all bites. I don't know. I just love his character.
Me too.
But then he pops up a few more times in the movies we watch, so we get a lot of Dreyfus.
Oh, yeah, we'll see
Nice.
him again. I think we ought to tell George where we're headed next time.
We're going to give you a little treat.
Okay.
We had an agenda or a syllabus, but we're going to kind of go off it a little bit just to kind of show you this movie. I'm not going to tell you anything about it. Just going to give you the name.
Okay.
How we're doing it, Dan? Just
That's
the
how
name?
we're doing it.
Our next event, Clive Barker's Hellraiser,
87.
87.
Okay.
Do you know who Clive Barker is?
No.
Do you know who Hellraiser is?
No.
Does anything spring to mind visually?
Yeah, when you say Hellraiser, I see I see big guns and I see like a black trench coat, kind of like badass kind of guy, but also like kind of Matrixy maybe,
Okay.
like that kind of thing.
I think
but
I think he's kind of got the right idea. Let's just leave it there.
Did you hear
Am
me
I-
smiling?
am I way off?
That was almost as epic as the I ain't seen Rocky, where we both went, wait a minute.
That's
wait,
good.
what?"
That's good. So then I have
Yes.
the worst. That's good. We should do this more often,
Yes.
guys.
It's a
This is
vigilante
good.
movie about a guy in a trench coat. I mean, you're ready
Oh.
for it. Let's just put it in right now.
Yeah. He figured half of it out already. Shit.
Oh. He's getting good at
Mm.
this. He's getting real good. Oh, shoot.
On that note,
Yeah.
Dude,
Mm.
a lot of times you're like, what do you expect from this movie? And like, I just have no idea. I mean,
I just like that you had some idea.
it's
about
gold.
It was great.
yeah, I expect some hell and some raisin.
no, but like, what was it? What did I see like recently? It had like, it had a Han Solo in it, but it wasn't a Star Wars movie. What's that? actor's
Indiana
name?
Jones, like Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford, but it was like a futuristic like robots
Runner.
in space. Yeah, Blade Runner. Dude, that movie was nothing at all like I thought it would be.
Right.
Nothing. And I thought I was like, oh yeah, Blade Runner. I know what Blade Runner is all about. I did not.
You had no idea.
I did not.
Some
So-
say
and
that's
that
in the
happens
same-
a lot, dude.
Yeah,
You
that's
guys are like, yeah, hey, with this title, and I'm like, oh yeah, I think I know about that. I don't.
Like First Blood.
0. Yeah, exactly. First Blood. I don't know.
I think we ought to do the First
And-
Blood procedure again. So don't look at the DVD. Don't look at the case. Have your wife put it in, hit start, and then you watch the movie.
Okay, we'll do.
And hopefully she leaves the room.
Such a good opening. It's such a good opening too, so that's good. I'm happy with this.
Oh, gosh.
Very good.
Thank you for joining us on the Remedial Film Class podcast. As always, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at @RemedialFilmPod. You can email us at remedialfilmpod@gmail.com. You can find us on YouTube and every podcatcher imaginable, from Apple to Spotify to Amazon. Why not? Do them all. Doesn't hurt. We also have such sites to show you at facebook.com/remedialfilmpod, and even a group, facebook.com/groups/remedialfilmpod, where you can make fun of George for not knowing what Hellraiser was. We'll be back next week with Clive Barker's 1987 bondage S&M horror multiverse, multiple dimensions, Beetlejuice for grown-ups, sex movie, Hellraiser.